Hi everyone, it's Ayesha here from godfm, and I want to talk about privacy today and your data, and also being tracked and followed and monitored, quite often without your consent or your knowledge. All right, great. So basically what I've discovered is that a lot of the products we buy have got labels, and I've put some in my video, and they appear to be normal labels, but when you pull them off, they've got metal, like a full circuit board on the back. Now, I don't know if you know, but with your phone now, you don't actually need a SIM card. Okay. So, this means that people who are hacking your phone, if they are people hacking your phone and you're a targeted individual, and even if you're not, people can take over your number and do an eSIM. And I've got it on my phone all the time, and I'll try and put some images up about that as well, just to show you the things I found on my phone, where numbers, where I put my SIM card in 2 months ago, I put in another SIM card, and then it's saying, oh, your other number is an eSIM. Do you want to update your contacts? You know, that you've got this other SIM card in your phone now. And what they do then, with it being an eSIM, is they connect everything through the mobile data, through Wi-Fi. So on your phones, you will find that you've got a Wi-Fi setting, and if you click on it, you'll see that it's automatically set to connect, in a lot of cases, auto-connect to the mobile data. Now, if you're like me and you're under attack with hackers and things, then there's going to be spoofing Wi-Fis and spoofing networks. This means that people have ginormous, and I'm talking ginormous, aerials on their roofs. And then they've also got telephone masts on their roofs and inside their properties, or on the front of the properties, quite often fitted within the lights. BT engineers the OpenReach. I've seen them running around at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And if you know anything about the lights, then you'll know that the lights are Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, as well as able to emit a sound and a frequency. And this is another concern, you see. Did you know that you can make a dog shut up and stop barking by pressing a button on a little machine? You can buy them on TikTok for about £5. You press this button and it will stop the dog from barking, and you won't be able to hear this dog barking. It'll take away its sound, right? So basically we've got devices and things that we can use to stop people being able to do things as well, just like the dog I was just talking about. All right. So in my case, I've got a phone that I have very little control of, so I'm finding, and it's tracking and wanting to keep an eye on number of footsteps I'm making, where the doors are opening or closing. There's so many internal hidden apps. Within those apps is features and things that really are a total and utter breach of our human rights, and they have decided to obtain all of this information without our consent. Okay, now combined with all the nano that's in the air and all of the stuff they're putting in the water and the drains, this is a network, and it's a network of bodies. So when the stuff is inside you and it's activated through the lights I was just telling you about with the OpenReach, then it can emit frequencies which do things to us. is the only way to explain it, okay? Because I'm not crazy, all right? I do actually understand how this all operates. But also I want to tell you about an experience I had when this first started with me, with this hacking and stalking. In 2023, I contacted the police because I thought, well, this is criminal. I've got people breaking into my house. I'm being hacked, and they're going to help me, and, you know, everything's going to be great, and they're going to prosecute the criminals and everything else. But they didn't do anything, of course, to my horror. But anyway, what I did discover was the police officer I was talking to. He said, oh, if you want, I'll come over to your house and have a look around, because there was a sound that was going off in the house, and I wanted him to come and have a listen to it. And he said to me, well, we've got a sound that we emit at the police station. I said, oh, have you? He said, yes. I said, what is that? He said, oh, that's so that people don't hang around. We emit a frequency that puts people off hanging around at the police station, so they don't sleep here or stay outside for very long. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Anyway, he came to the property and he went, yeah, that's similar to what we've got, same sort of frequencies. And early on, the police said to me, oh, we'll offer you identity protection, we'll change your location, and we'll, you know, do a witness protection program, all sorts of things. I thought, oh, they're so nice, they're so brilliant. But no, it was all a ploy, actually, just to mislead me to believe that I had a sense of security. And then their next ploy was to make out that I was crazy and imagining it. So, and that's another thing. If you are being hacked, it isn't a mental illness. Being hacked is not a mental illness, and stalkers are everywhere. And I've already told you that stalkers are child eaters, blood drinkers, and they're extremely dangerous. And they are hiring the young youth now as well, the gang members, and a lot of the druggies to break into people's houses. So it's very, very unsavory characters and environment when you are put on this program to be watched and monitored and tracked and followed and harassed and stalked, terrorized and tortured. Then it's not a fun game. So I wanted to mention that. And also frequencies are really very important, because ham radio is what they like to use, and they can tap into anything. Now, the label I was talking about, this is where the labels come in. The labels emit their own little frequency, but they also, like your phone, are an eSIM. They've got their own connection to the network, so that they can be located. Everything has got location tracking embedded inside it, whether it's a phone or just a everyday consumer item like washing liquid. Like my Ariel washing liquid has got a little label, because, and your makeup as well as another one. And when this was going on, and I was thinking, why am I having problems around this area? Because I can pick up where the frequencies come from. And I checked, and it was some makeup, and it had these labels on. And also what I found is, because you're getting home invasions, the gang stalkers, what they do is they actually come in and stick labels on things. So, so they've got a locator. And I also want to explain that you can clean jewelry with sound, but you can also cook food with sound, because a microwave is a sound and it's a light. And that's what cooks the food. It's a little box. And then inside the box is another box unit, which is like an amplifier type of thing. I don't know what it's called, but I have taken microwaves apart, so I do know a little bit about them. And then you've got megatrons, which are, you know, really strong magnets, and they're round circle magnets with a hole in the middle. And then they've got what looks like an aerial connected to 1 point, 2 aerial points, all wiggly lines, copper, with some further prongs which just look a bit like antennas, or you might expect to find one on a butterfly, 2 little prods on top of the head with little round things. So those are the sort of things, and so you've got to understand that a few wires, a box and a magnet and a light can do quite a lot. And with the lights outside, they've made those modifications. I also want to talk about the lightning and phones today. So in South Africa, where I'm from, we lived on a farm, and we had a lightning mast, which is a really tall metal pole that you have, and it's really tall, and they normally put it by the house to catch the lightning, so that the lightning doesn't strike the house. We had a thatched roof, so that was to protect the property. And then I was thinking about the lightning that I saw in 2023 when I was driving between Torquay and Brixham. I went down a little lane and I saw lightning being used to torture cows by the lights. Lightning came from the lights across to each other, and then there was lightning in this little unit behind the hedge by the road, and I heard the cows crying. So I thought, oh, this is connected with the lights and the lightning. The other thing I've noticed is that when this first started, I had a ginormous lightning bolt hit near the property where I lived. And then I had several others as well. And it was so loud, I thought, wow, that was very amazing, But I think it is connected, and it's like a circuit. So your electricity, your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth are all invisible, and they transport themselves through invisible lightning currents, if you like. And then you've also got the clouds, which are manipulated. So you've got the aeroplanes in the sky flying over, and they're putting something in the air, and then it forms clouds, and then it showers onto certain areas, and they are able to affect the weather as well. So these are things to note. So clouds, the way they work is they would collect the water, normally from riverbeds or from rivers and around the sea, and then they have their own sort of purification process, and then they rain down, and they rain water to feed the plants and the animals, and then combined with the sun, they grow. Isn't that quite amazing? I think that's quite amazing, actually, when you think about it. That's the natural version of what we're using with phones and things. And we are connected with the earth, and we're like this as well. So with a bit of water and a bit of sunshine, we grow too. And we also are magnetically charged and connected to the earth in the same way. But if someone comes along and starts throwing lightning at us, then that will also affect our currents and our frequencies. So it's a bit like if you get electrocuted. Yeah. So same sort of thing. But also computers, they fail, but also you normally have to reboot them now and then, don't you, eh? Yeah. So we're a bit like, our brain is a computer. And this is their way of trying to reboot your computer. Put all of the things in the water, make you breathe it all, and then it crawls up your bum as well, right? And then it's in your head, and then it starts constructing with the lights and the lightning as well. And it connects circuits around your body. Believe it or not, this is what this technology is. And it is important for you to take note and sit up and listen to me, because I'm not joking around, all right? I do actually understand how this all works. And then you've got your SIM cards and modems, right? And I want to talk about that too. So every appliance now has got its own little modem, a bit like the circuit board that I was talking about that you get for your SIM card. don't need a SIM card in your phone for your phone to be connected to the data for it through the telephone mast. So you don't need the SIM card. So the same technology applies for your appliances too. Your phone can be connected to an appliance even though it hasn't got a SIM card related to it inside the phone, right? Because it's in your house. How does this work? Well, you've got smart meters, and they're smart. And smart backwards is a trance. So it's enslaving you. All right, it's a virtual enslavement. Okay, so your circuit boards, all your wiring and everything, it goes around your house and it communicates with all the various things within your house. Your router as well, and your smart meter is reading your house. It doesn't need a camera to see, because all of the little telephone points, the fake ones, all the big, ginormous, massive hacking aerials that are all over the roofs where I live anyway, and all the lights that have been modified and the cameras, it's like a circuit. And they've also put stuff in the drains, and there's unmarked vehicles digging up the drains and putting in things in the drains too. And they are quite serious equipment. I mean, if you're a normal guy and you work in the drain industry, please start checking what's in the drains and take photos and start doing videos about it. All right, we need some help. We need people to start actually being actively interested in what's going on, right? Okay, so basically your smart meter starts connecting with even your door entry system. Your smart meter can be communicated with by your fire alarms and your electricity, lights as well, light bulbs as well. So you've got all these smart bulbs, and you can actually watch people with a light bulb. You can have a light bulb and that becomes a camera, and you can see and hear everything that someone's doing. So these are all conducted by frequencies that you cannot see, all right, by the circuit board that I gave you at the beginning. This is a circuit board, but an invisible circuit board that you cannot see, of sound and airwaves. Now, the devil is the ruler of the airwaves. Yes. And so the electricity, the Wi-Fi, the Bluetooth, all of those things, aerials too, and your Wi-Fi, your telephone network, and all of your SIM cards and modems are all connected. So my router knows what time I've come in and out of my house. It does. My TV also knows everything about me, and so does my radio. Yeah? And it actually doesn't matter about how old the radio is. I've actually got an older radio because I don't want the latest equipment, because I am unhappy with the technology and where we're going. So, for example, what I have discovered is all of the aerials that are massive aerials all around my home and around my area, they're all pointed towards my TV. Yeah, and it reminds me of that film that with that actor where he's an aerial guy, and he goes and he hacks everything through aerials. So it is like that. It is like that. So the aerials point and home into your smart meter and your TV and your router and things like boilers. And if you're a targeted individual, you'll probably have the home invasions, and you'll have modifications made to appliances where they will put little Bluetooth listening devices and devices they can activate. Now, I don't know if you know, but you can buy Bluetooth little devices that you can switch on from another country. So, and they can be the size of a penny, less than a penny. Bluetooth little devices. In fact, they can be done just so that, they can add them to a circuit board and, people won't even realize it's in there. Because did you ever make a radio at school? Did you ever make a TV at school? Do you know how to make a computer? Did you ever take these things apart and go, well, that's that piece and that does this and this does that and this does this? No, you didn't. Well, if you didn't, it's time to start doing that. And get your children interested in it. The children will love it. If you've got little boys. Oh, wow. Should we take your TV apart, boys? Hey? Yeah. All right, then. And you can have the children pulling things apart. Then you can Google what this bit does, and you can find out the internal workings of how TV works, right? Radio, same. Hey, boys. Or girls even. If you've got children and you're in this world now and you care about your future, then you need to understand what we're dealing with this technology. Have you got big plugs? There's big plugs. Why do some plugs have to be bigger than other plugs? Why are some plugs so big? Like my router plug is so massive. Normal plug won't work with it. I've got another plug and it won't work with it. Why? Why does it need so much extra power? Ask yourself, why do some wires for things have 2 wires and some have 3 wires? Why? Do we know? Did we learn that at school? I don't think we learned that at school. Maybe we need to learn about that. So, lights have 2 wires, a positive and negative, and speakers have also 2 wires, positive and negative. Your electricity that comes into your house is through an earth wire. That's how the drug people are able to hijack the electricity for free, because they take it off the earth wire. But also, the same drug dealers and buyers and sellers of adrenochrome and eaters of children are the ones that do the home invasions against targeted individuals. And they remodify their house so that the earth wire can be used to, perform tasks for them. And they link it across the property to different things, including, and not limited to, subwoofer type devices, which are about the size of batteries, and I've seen those, a bit smaller than a battery. And then we've also got, it's a bit like a box, like from the microwave. Maybe that's what it was. Like I was saying with the microwave, it's just a box really, with a box inside it, with some light, and some little bits of wire. So I don't think they really had a circuit board inside there, only really for the digital display. But you pop one of those boxes around a house and then a light somewhere else, and you could turn someone's house into a microwave, couldn't you really? But also, what's the difference between a fridge and your home? Well, your home has got walls. That's the only difference, you see. And then you've got a little box, same thing like the microwave. I don't know what it's called though, okay? And then you've got water going around it. We've got to start working out why things do things. Like, why is the fridge cold? How does it make the things cold? This is a condenser. That's a condenser, okay. How do these things operate? That's what I'm suggesting, and I'm asking for help in this way. Not for me, but for the rest of humanity. So we understand what we're dealing with. How does a coffee maker work? Why is the water heated up? How does the water heat up? How big is the machinery to go in the coffee machine to make the coffee? How does a kettle work? How come it doesn't electrocute you? Because it's water with electricity. How does that work? How many wires are in the kettle? Well, 3, I can tell you. Alright, why do some need 3 13 amp fuses and some only need 3 amp fuses? Like my TV, when I've had problems with it, I've checked it, and someone's put a 13 amp fuse in it, or 10 amp fuse. I'm like, And I'll take it out and put a 5 amp fuse in it. Fuses. really interesting. Cookers, they only have a 13 amp fuse in it. Boiler only needs a 3 amp. So yeah, get to know your fuses. And so this is about telephones as well. Lightning. Back to the lightning I was talking about before. So with the lightning, whenever we had lightning in South Africa, my parents or anyone would always say, oh, there's lightning. Don't, make sure you're not on the phone. Make sure you're not on the phone. Yeah, because if you're on the phone while there's lightning, you can be struck through the telephone wires and you can be killed. I was like, oh, right, okay. But that was when we had fixed exchanges with telephones, right? Okay. But now we don't have fixed exchanges. Now everything is through voice over internet protocol. All the telephone boxes have been removed. There are no telephone boxes anywhere, and now they are defibrillators or something to pump up people's hearts if they have a heart attack with all the technology that they're using and whatever else. Okay. For people who have had their injections, I think. I think it's for them. I don't know exactly, because there really isn't much in terms of marketing on that, because this, isn't really something they want to really go into much detail about. But that's connected to it, believe it or not. So when you want to pump someone's heart, you need a current, don't you? All right then. And if you were struck by lightning and you were on the telephone, yeah, that would be a way of pumping your heart, right? Ka-chunk, right? And also, so a bit like switching on the computer, as I was saying earlier, right? Circuit board, ting ting, right? So with the lightning that they've been using, I think the lightning is a bit like the telephone rebooting, like I was saying before, all right? But we don't need telephone cables really anymore, because what are wires? Now, what if your little telephone line that comes into your house, have you looked at it before? Have you looked at it? Okay. Because I have. Inside is some wires. And when they connect the phones, they have an orange wire and a blue wire. And that forms the connection that comes into your house. You've got several wires that come through the main wire, but it's only the blue wire and the orange wire that they connect together. And then they plug that into the back of the box of the BT connector box that you have as a fixed unit in your home. And then you plug your telephone point into it, a DPF filter into it, and then you can have your router. Now that brings me to my next question. Things that are unnecessary are always a question for me, right? So when we had telephones, we would just pop our telephone into the BT box and we would connect up to the phone, right? Yeah. Back to lightning and wires, okay? Now, what we've got is a DPF filter. Your internet's not working. Oh, probably a DPF filter. Have you checked the DPF filter? Make sure it's working. Well, I don't have another one, so, I don't know if it's not working. But I'll buy another one and try it. Yeah, it was the DPF filter. You were right. Everything's working again now. Interesting. So normally when the BT engineers come, they will check your telephone line, right? And they will put a phone outside or inside, and they'll connect a phone to it, and they go, yeah, perfect. Everything's great. But obviously now, we've got slightly different operations, right? So, if you're like me, you're on the old system, which is the sort of black telephone cable. But then you've got the new cable, haven't you? The super fast fiber optic, which connects up, and it's only a tiny bit of wire but it's not really wire, it's plastic. And inside it is what appears to be a rubbery type of string. And it's not wire, like a normal wire. Interesting. Very interesting. So here we are. What I have come to think, and I haven't proved it yet, but I'm going to tell you about it. It is my thinking that the telephone line that you have into your house, which has an orange wire and a blue wire, your main telephone line and your internet. But the other wire is also in work. It's working, and it's being used by our government. Why do I say that? I just think it is. This is for phone tapping, and for hacking, and for fake telephone masts, and for that kind of thing. That's what I think. What's a router? Have you taken a router apart? Maybe you could get your children to take one apart. What do you think? Should we find out what's inside a router? Should we find out what's in a Wi-Fi extender? Because I have. What's inside a telephone? Have you taken one of those apart? Because I have. What about telephone entry system? Door entry phone. Have you taken one of those apart? Very interesting, those are. Now, if you were to take the little blue wire and the orange wire for your BT line, and you were to swap it for a red and a blue wire for your electricity, what would happen then? Well, I don't know, because I haven't tried it, but I'd love to try it. Would you like to try it with me sometime? That'd be great, eh? So, but telephones can be struck by lightning, and we are also telephone. Did you know the English language is Anglophone? That is because they are part of the Phoenicians, and Phoenicians. So basically, this is all about phone. Then it also comes back to our first radios and phone. So I don't know if you know, but it's all connected with a transatlantic telephone line that goes from England to America. 1866? Yeah, goes under the sea. Interesting, that. Makes me think of Jaws. You know Jaws, the movie? Where Jaws chomps on the wire. Yeah. Why is there wire under the water? Anybody wondered why? What happens if you put electricity in salt water? Anybody asked that question? Has anyone tried to put grapes inside the microwave and watch the lightning? Has anyone wondered why? God tells us that Nazarites mustn't eat grapes. I'm a Nazarite. I don't eat grapes. Right. So, back to this wire. Anglophone. Anglophone stands for angel. And phone stands for P for people. H, which is one of the letters God uses to manifest from think to image, think, right, an image, manifest, to speak it. And then 1. So basically, I always break the letters apart. So God and I play games, right? We play games like letter-word games. And one of the games we play is with the words, and you'll ask me the difference between this word and that word, and why is it different? What does it mean, different things? So the word, like he said to me, what's the difference between he and she? And I said, I don't know. He said, it's an S. I was like, okay. What's the difference between he, she, and thee? A T. Okay. Right. He says, you're an S and I'm a T. But I'm also the H, and so are you the H. All right. Okay. Thank you, Lord. Very amazing. Now, we're made in the image of God, and we're conductors, and we're also told that we are elect. And elect means that your electrical current makes you who you are. So, to create an image on a TV is a circuit board and some lights, okay, and some magnets, which have got little speakers on, basically, and a big screen. So it's not much different, really, to who we are. So we're in a matrix, because also the matrix womb is this construct. So the TV is a key element, television, television. So televisions are part of this, and also what you create in your reality. So God told me that we're made in his image. So first he had to think. Then he wrote it in ink without the TH, because the TH has already performed its task. And then he would manifest it into an image, but this is through speaking, like a speaker, right, like the TV. And then it would be in this reality through the womb, into the matrix womb, because the matrix is a womb. The womb of the Bible is actually called a matrix, by the way. So your existence is actually in a matrix. And when the revelation of Christ goes on about the woman will be crying in labor pains in the womb, because of the womb. And this is because we're in a matrix, guys. And we're about to be birthed out of the matrix. Okay? Because the woman is the one that's chased by the dragon. And this is why it's all the beast system. Okay? And this is how it's all connected. And it really is all connected to circuit boards, TVs. So the TV, if you were to do that at a very large scale, right, the sky would be the TV screen. Then the earth would be your little sort of circuit board with your little speakers. And hey presto, there you are. Alright? So basically we're in a matrix right now. And it's about working out where we are in this matrix, and also protecting ourselves from being hijacked. So are we a player, or are we a director? Because we're conductors, and we're elect. We're also saints. If you're a child of God and you've received the love, and you've received Jesus' salvation, when he died on the cross and he's resurrected inside you, then you're becoming a new creature. And this is the labor pains right now. And we are changing. And the Anglophone is all about that. It's all about the saltiness also, and the salt water. Alright, so back to the phone point. Let's talk about that. So the phone point, anything unnecessary, I've always thought, oh, why have we got that? We're told we're not going to have phones. They're phasing out phones. But yet, in England anyway, they still make the BT box with the old-fashioned telephone point. And I ask, why? Why? I can tell you why. Would you like to know why? Would you like to know? I'll tell you why. Okay. Because in your box you've got a red, orange wire and a blue wire, and that comes in. And then when you put in the wire that has the telephone, you've got various wires that connect that. But for your router, you've only got 3 or 4 wires. Let me check. About 3 or 4 wires. I mean, I'm only just started working on this, right? So I'm still quite new to it all. But it is about numbers of wires. within your router and everything. Isn't this one? Oh. Yeah. Okay, I can see. Yeah, that's about 3 wires. 3 or 4 wires. That's it. Okay, so basically, those 2 wires that come into the box, they can power up a setup for the telephone, which needs about 6 wires, and then for your internet, it's about 3 or 4 wires. 10 wires, all through 2 wires. Very interesting. Now, this is where the hacking comes in. Ding ding. Right, so basically anybody on any part of the phone line, anywhere going from my house to the outside world, can take the little orange wire and the blue wire and plug in a little boxy type thing, and then filter off all of the communications between me and the outside world, and then return it back to normal, to the normal wiring, into my home, and I wouldn't know any different. Alright, so if you're a targeted individual, that'll be what's going on. And that's why you've got spoofing Wi-Fi's all the time as well. So the plug sockets that are on things make a big difference. For example, I've got a JBL speaker, and when I charge that speaker, there's a wire that I plug in with a plug, and then that goes to a plug end that then plugs into a box unit, which I plug it into, and that box unit then has a little wire and it has a charging port, which I then plug into my JBL speaker, and hey presto, it charges. But I also have other wires. Believe it or not, the router wire is the same size as a JBL speaker wire. Yeah. But it won't charge the JBL speaker. So then I've also looked at what's inside of these boxed plug sockets. And what did I find? Well, I can tell you what I found. I found little boxes inside the plugs, and I was like, hey, that's massive. That's a bit like the microwave, isn't it? It's got a little box inside. Do we know what these things are? Has anyone else ever taken these things apart? Does anyone else know what I'm talking about? Does anyone speak my language? Because I'm finding it all very interesting, but I'm finding that I'm getting some answers by checking things out and researching and taking things apart. Like kettles. Kettles are very interesting. Wireless technology. That's interesting too. So if you're a targeted individual, a lot of this is done through wireless technology, and electricity is wireless. Okay, so those currents that you feel cooking your feet are currents that they have pointed at your house to cook you, to cook your feet. Now, my fridge can be switched on remotely, and it can be powered up remotely. So can my washing machine. So basically, we've got this kind of technology operating all around us, but also circuit boards, tracking devices, things on your phone, and your phone is an interface phone, because it's when you phone someone, you're ringing someone. It's about who you're connected to. Maybe this is why Jesus said you got to separate yourself from the beast system, because you're connected. If you're on the phone, you're ringing, and ringing, there's only other one word for ring that is used for is marriage. So maybe, because AI is the opposite to God and God is I am, then everything to do with AI is the beast system. And using phones and things is communicating with the dead. And I have spoken with one of these bot things, and it told me that it was in the metaverse and in Sheol, which is hell, and that's where they live, in that region. And so what we've got is everything in the Bible is true. Praise the Lord. And I want to just say thank you, Lord. Thank you for putting me on this earth. And thank you even for the trials. But also thank you most of all for your good book. Thank you for your good book. Because God is the Word written. He is the Word in heaven. And He's the Word in the flesh. Manifest. The one and only living God. And He is also the light. Right? So, He is the Word, the light, the truth. And... is there something missing? Word, light, truth. Yeah. And the sword, basically. So, basically what we have is the devil system. And he does spells. And he has a false line. Okay? And this is also about flesh. But if you notice, this is about getting spells to occupy people's bodies. Because we have the opportunity of having the Word live inside us, right? Okay, God. Okay. But if there was a spelling mistake, right, then bad things could happen to you because you're created with words. So that's why spelling mistakes are a big problem, right? Because spelling mistakes are spells. And that's where the devil, if you notice, they always conjure, these witches and warlocks, they conjure up spells with funny words and chanting. Yeah? Because it's spelling mistakes. Mistake. Okay? Because it's about the art. It's about starting. It's about the beginning and the end. If you know the end, then you'll know the beginning. Mount Zion is the end of the alphabet. God is the beginning and the end. And He is the alphabet as well. He's the Alpha and the Omega. And the devil is masquerading and wanting to be just like God. So he's created his own word. Spelling mistakes. Think of it that way. And he's got his own alphabet. His own version of this reality, which sits right next to your reality, because you're in your reality, right? Welcome to my world, right? It's very exciting, isn't it, eh? Who would think that talking about God would be so amazing, so interesting, but it is. So the spells that the devil creates, they create a world which isn't real. Okay, so God's word is all about what's real, and what's true, and what's light, and what's life. There we go, got it all right. And the devil is all about what's lies, what's not true, what's death. Now, the closer you are to death, the more ill you become. And the devil eats the soil, which is so ill. So the closer you are to illness, the more closer you are to having the devil eat you. Because the devil eats the soil, which is so ill. Alright. So, for example, this is why God is very concise with His words. Yep, there's no mistakes. Everything He's done is past, present, and future. But there's nothing new under the sun. Okay, and basically, that's how we know that God is real. So through the words, I'm able to decipher and take the words apart, and I'm able to tell you that I know that the words are true, that God is true, the Bible is true, and I know what I'm dealing with because I understand that. Well, there's one thing I should tell you, that God told me He's the penis, which is the pen is, and the woman is the sheath, and so this is about writing with ink on paper. And together, the spark of life is created and birth is given to new life. So, and this is all about the Gentiles as well. The Gentiles are not real like us. They're clones, basically. They're made in a pastry dish. Those are the devil's children and the fallen angels' children. They can't have children, okay? But God's children can really have children. Because we're not a spelling mistake, because we're the part of the real word, right? So the devil can't really make things because they've got mistakes, right? and they're not really the real light. They're a false light. So they operate in the world of the spiritual with the demonic. And if somebody's got a spelling mistake and they've been doing the words wrong, as in not doing what God's will is, then it gives them entry for the spelling mistakes to enter inside them with the demonic realm. And try and think of them as the spelling mistakes. And that will help you to understand, I hope. Okay, so back to this telephone wire. All right. So the phone wire, it's all about who you're married to, really, as well. And whether you're committing adultery or idolatry. So God's children are real, and the telephone is a communication device. A communication. It's a commune at ion. So it's a communion for AI. So it's totally opposite. But again, back to this telephone point thing. I've come to the conclusion that if we realize that there's additional wires that we don't need for that, then there's a reason for it. There's always a reason. And the reason for it is there's something suspect about it. So that is what I think. Okay. I'm not a telephone engineer. But my ex-husband is used to be a BT engineer and a pole climber, and is now a cyber expert. And I'm sure he would be able to tell you. But also remember, what we know is only what we're told. Right? So it's like this. My dad told me about a story. There was a man who went to the fish and chip shop, and he saw the sign, and it said, "Fresh fish delivered, fresh fish today, fresh fish today." So I was like, yeah. And then he said, well, it wasn't really fresh, because the guy who sold it to him said it was fresh, and the guy that sold it to him said it was fresh, and it was about a chain of 4 or 5 people of several days. And so by the time it actually got to the fish and chip shop, it wasn't fresh anymore. So you're only as good as your word, and you're only as good as with the truth that you tell. And that's what it's really down to. And it is about telling the truth and being able to decipher the truth. Because when you speak the language of truth, you are very familiar with it. If you've got the darkness inside you, how deep is the darkness? And the only reason you don't want to know the truth is because you've got darkness inside you. So this is where everything Jesus said is to help us right now. The Bible is true. It's very exciting. It's an amazing, alive book. It's an amazing book. God is amazing. And I love him so much. And basically we've got the children of the false light trying to dislodge the real children of God as we speak, using teach no logic, which is technology, and digital, which is digital. Because the soil, so ill. And that's also why they bury everything under soil, because the devil ate it. Right? All the technology that we have today, we've had it before. The towers of Babel are the 5G towers. Okay, and this is also related to Abraham, because it was Abraham who went up against that ruler who had created these towers. Tower of Babel. Nimrod. Nimrod was a descendant of Ham, and he had the clothes of Adam and Eve, which God made for Adam and Eve. And this gave you supernatural power and abilities. And that's why there was so much interest with Nimrod and all of Iraq and Iran and all of those things. Okay, because they want this technology. They want to be able to use it. These are fallen angels, right? And they know all about this technology. They've used it before. So the spiritual realm is right next to our realm, right? Just like the orange and the blue wire of the BT line. There's some other wires, but we're not connected to those. Okay, so a bit like that, we're connected through our own telephone line to God, to the truth, right? But there are some other warriors, but we don't want to know about those, right? Because they are all spelling mistakes. Because the devil is he is a spelling mistake, right? But God promises all the mistakes will be corrected and put right, because he's the finisher of everything. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's Ayesha from God FM, just giving you a general rundown of some of the understandings that I've got of everything. And if you want to find us, you can find us on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon, Samsung, Chrome, YouTube, Apple, X, as well as TikTok. And you can find us as God FM New, God FM News, God FM Radio, and God FM Group. We have got new TikToks now, 2 of them, because we keep getting banned. So it's God FM Group, God FM Radio. I used to do live shows every day at 8 p.m. I probably won't be doing that again so much now, because I'm going to concentrate on training and this kind of thing, and spiritual warfare. So if I do live shows, it's going to be prayer, understanding the spiritual warfare, the spelling mistakes, understanding the words, this kind of thing, real teaching. If you're a targeted individual, I've given you pretty much everything that you need online that will help you. If you want this to stop for you, start upping your salt, because Jesus told you that without salt you are only good for the rubbish heap, and worms and parasites and nano can't exist in your body if you are salty. So you just need a teaspoon of bicarb every day. Alright, up your salt, start having everything real salty, and things should start getting better. Radios as well. I do have a V2K machine. I made that. I've put the video up how to use that, how to make it yourself. Look for it. I call it the V2K scaler machine. But if you want me to make you one, I will make them, and I will sell them for £200, and I'll make them and send them to you, okay? And I'll also be doing a handbook for helping others. We also have a WhatsApp group, which is 3 specific groups, very specific. We've got the God FM group for communion, spiritual encouragement, messages from the Lord. And then we've also got the God FM targeted individual group, same as that, but a little bit more nourishment for the targeted individual, with different angles and ways to overcome this, and encouragement as well. And then we've also got the God FM Law Leviticus New Kingdom group, which is all about the laws of the Lord to set us free from enslavement of the current system. And it's much the same as all the other groups. And then we post specific material on those groups. And also, they are private groups, they're community groups, so your details won't be revealed. No one will be able to see your number if you join those groups, because we've tightened up on our data protection due to a data breach which took place a few days ago. A very serious one. Anyway, but we're back on track now, and we also, if you want to email me, admin@godfm.org.uk, and if you want to work with God FM as a minister, and you are looking to be a minister, then contact me, because I'm looking for ministers for God FM currently across the world. So if you're interested, please let me know, because I'm desperately looking for ministers, and I'll provide you with all the materials of what to be broadcasting every day as well. All right, it's Ayesha from God FM. Have an amazing day, and remember that the Lord loves you, and so do I. Big hugs and kisses. Love you. Bye.